Can you beat Dying Light's Nightmare difficulty without leveling up? Well, that could depend on your exact definition of leveling up, because you can't exactly not level up in Dying Light. Practically everything you do gives you experience in this game, but I'm already getting ahead of myself here. There might be like 5 people who don't know what Dying Light is. Dying Light is a first-person zombie game with parkour. Oh. I was hoping I could grab onto that ledge. And the Nightmare difficulty is the hardest mode the game has to offer. The main things that are going to affect us difficulty-wise is that Nightmare makes all the enemies take and give way more of a beating, which isn't my personal favorite kind of hard mode, but what can you do? Now you're pretty much caught up. The most important thing here is the not leveling up bit. In Dying Light, there's multiple skill trees, each with their own experience bars and levels. We've got Power, Agility, and Survivor, and you earn experience for each by doing the associated actions. For Survivor, you do quests. For Agility, you can just jump on stuff, and for Power, you do extreme violence. All of those things are 100% unavoidable, especially violence. Like, sure, you can limit them to an extent, but you're never going to cut them out entirely. Kind of like microplastics, that I'm sure are now rattling around inside of my test. Luckily, just because we're leveling up, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to spend the skill points we get. Which brings us back to the whole definition of leveling up. Is it still leveling if we don't spend the points? Well, yeah, probably. It's the thought that counts for these sorts of things, though. So we will not be spending any skill points whatsoever, effectively leaving us at level 1 for the entirety of this run, despite what the experience bar at the top is telling us. And by not using those skill points, all we're missing out on is a wide variety of abilities, buffs, and crafting recipes that make the game more fun and Nightmare mode more manageable. That means no extra health or stamina, no dodge button, no drop kick, no sick parkour moves, and no grappling hook, just to name a handful of things. Anyways, I guess that means it's time to get started. Dying Light starts off with a pretty hefty tutorial where I leveled up my agility from climbing some stuff trying to complete the objectives. Run failed. I'll see you later. We get our first goon in the tutorial as well. As in the zombie, not the activity. I don't think I ever had a problem with these guys. They're pretty slow and really easy to avoid as a result. You don't even have to fight this one. You can run right past them to pull the win button. At the end of the tutorial, we get to see some volatiles. Normally, these guys are one of the most dangerous zombies to run into, but kind of like my ex, they only come out at night. Besides like 2 missions later on. One where we have to deal with a few in a tunnel, and then there's some in the final mission that we get chased by. So we really won't be seeing volatiles all that much since, unlike my ex, we can just sleep until they leave. With all that done, we can put on the objectively best costume in the game and get some prep work out of the way. There's a couple special melee weapons you can grab at the start of the game here that are much better than everything else we can find this early. At least as far as I'm aware. I'm not a Dying Light pro, I just like to suffer. We've got EXP Caliber and the Korak Machete, both of which you have to pass a patience check to grab. My one weakness. Oh yeah, we gotta hold E for a while here, guys. Whoa! That fucking scared me.
Okay, it's done. Fuck.
Oh, there we go. Unfortunately for me, in the process of grabbing these, I decided with my chat that we weren't actually going to use them because it may make things a bit too easy from the get-go, even if they're just out there for the taking, which made this a bit of a waste of time. At least I found a pistol while I was running around, and we will definitely be using guns later. Oh, there's a gun just on the floor. Okay, wait, that changes everything. Basically, all the prep work I thought I was doing was almost all useless.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
It's probably a good time to mention that we can only carry a total of 8 weapons at a time. We can do 4 in our active slots and 4 in our backpack. So there's a lot of dropping weapons as soon as I find anything that did like 1 more damage than whatever I was using. Now we can get started for real. Alright, the gist of the story is that we're a mercenary named Kyle Crane trying to retrieve some very delicate evil organization files from a warlord named Rise, who's holding onto them as blackmail. And we're doing this under the guise of being just another survivor trying to help everyone out. That's very much a gross oversimplification of what's going on here, but you guys aren't here for the story, right? No, seriously, is anyone actually here for the story? Anyways, we're basically extorting a bunch of people for Rise during this first set of missions, and it's pretty chill as far as extortion goes.
Okay, Kareem, I got Gersel's money. I fucking hate myself now, but I got the money.
The self-hatred fades eventually.
So let's talk about combat. Every zombie feels really goddamn tanky, like to the point that they'll walk through some of our attacks and slap us across the face. No, not like this! With having next to nothing for stamina for the entirety of this run, we're lucky to take down even a basic zombie without our stamina running out, then having to wait for it to refill. Or we could always use the crappy out of stamina desperation attack. Surely that won't be useful later. The best way I felt to take on zombies was not at all, if I could help it. But if that's not possible, using the high ground or knocking them on their asses and lobotomizing them works pretty well too. Kicking them off of buildings is probably the most efficient though, considering it usually kills them, and kicking doesn't take up any stamina. Oh, hey man. Is he gonna get back up? Dude, he's alive? What the fuck is that? He just stood right back up. Did you guys see that? The most problematic enemies in this run are the viral zombies, which can sprint, climb, and dodge our melee attacks. If you or anyone or anything makes even a remotely loud noise, just like Dad after the night shift, you can pretty much count on virals to show up and smack you around a bit. So, when this gate is closed, can virals get in here? This means if you pull a gun and or explosives to try and deal with the virals quickly, there's a chance you could just trigger more to come after you and get yourself in a bit of a never-ending brawl. Like, is there any chance I can... Okay, well that guy's just doing my job for me, which is kind of nice. And now we have 2 more zombie types to deal with. The first one is the Toad. They're pretty much puke mortars and really not that bad to deal with. The second one is the Bomber, and they mostly handle themselves. We just don't want to be near them when they do their thing for obvious reasons. Them exploding can also trigger virals in case you were wondering, so it's just best to avoid these guys whenever we can. That's pretty much it for stuff to talk about in these initial missions. This all wraps up with us getting ripped off by Rise, which isn't much of a surprise. Then it's on to the obligatory zombie game school level. Before we get there though, if you were ever wondering how long it takes a zombie to kill a random survivor, it's about a minute. They really don't like being kicked while they eat either. Holy shit! Okay, back to school. Usually school levels are pretty peak in most horror-adjacent games, but this one's definitely no way to elementary. Now we get to fight actual living people in the form of Rise's bandits, because we're aiming to steal from them since they ripped us off. And it's kind of the same deal as virals, where they can dodge and all that, but with the added threat of getting hit in the head with a machete. Luckily, this is easily countered by filling them with lead. I may have neglected to mention that we got a rifle back towards the end of those missions we were doing for Rise. Inventory full. Not for long. And yeah, guns are a pretty effective weapon against just about everything. The flip side is that ammo's a little scarce early on here, and they make noise. So there's that whole never-ending virals issue if we're outside. Not to kid anyone though, even with never-ending virals, guns make things a lot easier if you have the ammo. I used what ammo I had for the bandits here, just because I didn't have a lot of luck slugging it out with them. They hurt a lot. Fuck! That being said, death is really only a minor setback, even on Nightmare. Checkpoints in Dying Light are really generous. Like if you die here, you just respawn and these guys are still as dead, or as hurt as I left them before they caved my skull in. Back to what we're doing here, we're looking to steal from Rise. Specifically, we're hoping for some antizin, the zombie virus suppressant medicine stuff. But instead, all we find is a bunch of explosives. Darn. Surely Raheem, the kid that ran us through the tutorial, won't try to use these explosives to blow up a giant volatile nest, and in turn get himself infected, then hide it from us so that we finish rigging the bombs for him, only to have him go viral with the only cure now being a snapped neck. That'd be sad. Oh, wait.
Raheem, it's me! It's me, kid, it's Crane! Oh, Jesus! Raheem, stop!
I'm no expert on snapping necks beyond playing Hunk a lot in Mercenaries, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Raheem should have drank more milk. That sounded like a low calcium snap. After some story stuff where Rise strikes back, we've got ourselves a huge shootout where our ammo problems kinda disappear for the time being. Oh my god. That is not a good place to fucking... Why does it keep picking it up one shot by one shot? What the fuck was that about? Oh, for fuck's sakes. Then we're abducted and thrown into a zombie arena where we have everything taken away from us. This is the pit, and it's gotta be my favorite part of the game. I'm a sucker for getting stripped down and being forced to fight for my life, or what I like to call a Friday. There's a bunch of pretty awful weapons littered around the arena that we're gonna wanna grab, including, as far as I'm aware, the only other firecrackers you can find in the game outside the tutorial missions. Turns out we don't really need to use these shitty weapons a whole bunch either, because a lot of these zombies will actually just kill themselves for us. A couple might need a little encouragement. Here, let me help you. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. After we're done with that, Rise very kindly gives us a machete and then drops a demolisher on us for the first of 3 boss fights in the run. 4 boss fights if you want to count a shitty quicktime event later. This is the only demolisher in the game that we're forced to fight, and I kinda cheesed him. He'll smack us around if we're on the ground, but if we're up higher than him, he'll throw rocks. So basically what I did was grab a piece of rebar and just barely caught him in the head whenever he leaned forward to grab a rock. Once his helmet was off, I started to do some better damage, but this still can take a bit of time. Oh, quick, we gotta loot him. $400. Now there's this usually pretty cool part where we run away and escape while we're being shot at, but I really felt the stamina limits here and had to stop to catch my breath a lot, making it maybe a bit less exciting. Unless you guys think dying's cool, then here you go. Oh, okay. Once we escape, we get all our stuff back. The next couple missions aren't terribly exciting. We're essentially just going to the other area of the game called Old Town, whereas we were in the slums before. We're pretty much in the second half of the game now in terms of the story missions. You might be feeling a slight sense of deja vu here, because this next mission involves rigging some explosives to a tower full of infected with a buddy who gets jumped by some zombies. It really got my calcium senses tingling.
I've got some company here. Oh, get back, you bastards!
There's no neck snapping any friends here, though. Only some light zombie child smothering. You little fucker! Come here! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up, kid! I'm getting punched in the back of the head! That was a screamer, by the way. As the name suggests, they scream. It'll melt our health if we stay near it while it's yapping, while also attracting just about every zombie in the area.
Fuck, what is this?
That's a lot of zombies! Oh, I'm fucking cooked. And there's a quicker way of dealing with them besides just choking them out. Once we're out of there, here's the reward for all our hard work. Beautiful. The next quest is about 90% gunfight. Oh my god, Home Alone strats. 1% breaking Raheem's sister's neck as well, because low calcium runs in the family, I guess. And then a solid 9% boss fight. This is another part of the game where they take all of our stuff away from us, and because of that, Tahir rocked my shit a few times. Okay. Oh yeah, on the bright side, I have unspent skill points. Okay, buddy. Throw up a counter in the video for how many times you die in this fight? Yeah, I might have to. Well, to be fair, it was Tahir and his goons, because this isn't a 1v1 the whole time. That'd be too easy. It's fights like these that really make me miss the dodge skill. I'm pretty sure Tahir has the normal bandit moveset, but is just like a foot taller than your average guy. There was a while where I went toe-to-toe with him, for the most part, and tried to use my kick to keep him at a distance. But eventually, I ran out of stamina trying to follow up with attacks. And that's when I found out that for whatever reason, whenever I used the out-of-stamina desperation attack, Tahir kinda gets locked in the same reaction over and over again, which we can just take a step back and he'll miss entirely. Even when he doesn't do it, he'll kinda just take hits from us. So I guess this is the one time I should be thankful for the asthmatic cardio. Holy shit, fucking god. Before we hit up the last couple of missions, a fun thing about Dying Light is that it kinda works on Assassin's Creed rules with fall damage. Meaning, if you land on the right thing when you jump off of something high, your body won't erupt into gore on contact. Where Assassin's Creed has piles of hay, Dying Light has cars and garbage. It doesn't matter how high you are either. Just don't miss or you'll midsummer yourself. Oh! The second last quest, like mostly everything else so far, is a cakewalk. Part of that this time might be because of the old double-barrel shotgun. I really like this mission though. We're in a hospital trying to find a doctor, and it really reminds me of Under Buckingham Palace in Zombie, or Zombie U. The final quest of the main game is us finally going after Rise, and we get this little warning before we kick it off. I'm not entirely sure why, but I love it when games give you these. Anyways, this starts off with a chase sequence, our one weakness. Oh, why did that... Huh.
The agents of my will.
A big part of this is just a reversal of the area we went through when we were escaping from the pit. Really felt the lack of stamina again here. And the sad thing here for me is that I almost hit a major checkpoint right before I died. What the crane? And then I got stuck for a hot minute. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. But this is a pretty fun run and gun section of getting to the top of a skyscraper to confront Rise. We gotta stop and catch our breath whenever it's safe enough to do so, and on top of this crane is definitely not one of those spots. Oh, I don't have enough stamina! Once we're at the top, it's time to deal with Rise in a QuickTime event. This is not a real boss fight. Even if he killed me a couple times. Stream chat is distracting, this isn't my fault.
Suleiman, he's dead.
I pressed D. After the QTE, Rise eats shit in a cutscene. GG.
Is that for a decision, asshole?
Or at least it would be GG if I didn't decide to hit up the following as well, which is a DLC that's a direct follow-up to the story. If you were wondering where most of my deaths went in this run, they were mostly here.
So be it. All right, boys. Fuck him up.
Please, bro. Please, bro. No! The big thing about the following is that instead of a lot of parkour, there's a lot of driving in the countryside. And it's a good thing that there's a car, because just about all of the following is driving around and doing side quests to gain enough reputation to be able to finish the DLC. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. Don't know why I thought I could make it that time. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump straight to the final boss. It's the most interesting part of the DLC by far, because it's easily the best boss fight in the game. Not that it's hard to beat out a tanky demolisher, larger than normal bandit, and a quicktime event. For just a sprinkle of context, this is the Mother. She's a sentient volatile, and she wants us to nuke the entire area to wipe out the virus. We could say yes to this, but then we don't get the boss fight. So we say no, she doses us with a blue glow stick, and we get our fight. Believe it or not, there's 2 whole phases to this fight. Phase 1 is a horde of hallucinations that will absolutely maul us if we stand still, because they're essentially a mob of virals. So instead, we're gonna run laps with a semi-automatic shotgun. At least until we have to drop our weapons and throw hands, which is actually just as good as the shotgun. Also, no more stamina bar. Phase 2 is an actual one-on-one fight with the Mother, where not only does she hit really hard, she teleports. She kicked my ass a whole bunch. I'm just gonna cut to the chase though, because I could tell you about all her moves and what I tried that didn't work, but this whole thing actually turns almost laughably easy if you circle strafe her ass and unload the smoke. GG for real.
Oh yeah, time to go home.
What? What's going on?
And that's beating Dying Light's Nightmare difficulty without leveling up. Sort of, kind of, technically, okay, maybe not. Ultimately, I thought this was going to be a lot worse than it actually was, especially on Nightmare. But it really wasn't that bad, as you probably noticed. It was kind of just like losing out on the comforts of Dying Light I grew accustomed to. Namely, more health, definitely more stamina, and the ability to dodge beyond backpedaling as fast as I could. The worst parts of the game were in the following, and that's just because it was mostly busy work side quest grinding that was really not even worth showing because I mentally clocked out. Unless you're really into scenic drives filled with crashing into the only thing in an open field. But I'll have those parts along with the rest of the run uploaded to the VOD channel. Feel free to let me know how I could have made this harder by not using guns in the comments. Liking and subscribing is also a good way to let me know. I swear I'll listen. If you want, you can catch me doing these runs live over at twitch.tv/anxiety. Thanks for watching. Whenever I grab something and my ass is clearly hanging in front of the zombies' faces when I'm climbing it, like the side of the Jeep, I'm like, I could very easily get bitten here. It always reminds me of that one cutscene from Umbrella Chronicles, where like Jill gets grabbed by the zombies. If you know, you know. We've showed it on stream once. It's pretty bad.